Let's talk about math, the most disliked subject of high school students. I can still remember my high school days when a math exam was on the way. There was stress all over the classroom. Everyone was just trying to think of every possible reason to avoid the test. Once only half of my classmates showed up for the exam. And I am 100% certain that this wasn't the case only in my class. So let me show you how to make math easier. I totally understand that some of you can't understand what is even going on in the math class, especially if your professor isn't exactly the best at explaining these wonders of the world to you. I was lost as well at every lecture and just hoped that nobody called me up in front of the blackboard. But once I got home and had all the peace and quiet, I was more likely to concentrate and actually understand what were those numbers in my notebook. So it was important for me that even if I didn't exactly understand what was going on in the class, I still wrote down in my notes what was on the blackboard so I could study it later at home. At home I reviewed my notes from class and explained it to me in the most logical way possible. If something still wasn't exactly clear to me, I opened the book and read those chapters out loud. I completed my class notes with the important informations that I have read in the book. So you have the notes right in front of you. The next step is to get a piece of paper and write down all the important formulas from your notes and book. I usually do it on my iPad. You can also write down the solving procedures for specific types of exercises, so it will be easier for you in the next step of studying math. Make this piece of paper as colorful and organized as you can, because you will be using it a lot and it's going to be very helpful that you are able to know where exactly you wrote down each and every formula, especially if there are a lot of them. The more that you are going to use the list with the formulas, the more likely it is that you memorize it. So maybe at the end of studying you won't even need this paper anymore. If you're still having problems with understanding the theory, don't worry, because I am sure you will understand it a lot more after this step, when you're actually going to use it to solve some exercises. First, copy the exercise that you've been solving in the class and try to solve it on your own. If you got the right answer, then good job. Let's move on to the next exercise. But if you don't even know how to start solving it, or if you got the wrong answer, look down in your class notes where it went wrong and try to solve it once again until you get the right answer. The important thing is that these steps of solving the exercises, equations are logical to you. You have to figure out why you used that formula, why is there is a minus instead of a plus, and all the tricks that math requires. For that reason it is really important to keep your class notes organized and write down as much as you can. Pay attention to professors' comments on specific steps of solving the equations and what you need to pay attention to. It will help you a lot with studying on your own at home. When you have covered all the material, open your exercise book and focus on revising what you've just studied. Start with the easiest exercise and move forward to the hardest. After you've solved the exercise correctly, write a check mark in your notebook. It will motivate you to move forward. If you get stuck at one of the steps, look into your notes to find out the correct solving procedure and try to figure out where it went wrong. If you can't find the solution in the notes, use one of the applications that helps you solve the math problem step by step. You just scan the problem and the app will solve it for you. Your task is to find out where you went wrong and correct it in your notebook so you won't have the same problem on the next exercise. Of course it is going to happen that you will be unable to find a solution for your exercise or it will be illogical to you, especially with the hardest ones at the end. In that case, write down your questions into your notebook or on some piece of paper and ask the professor for the explanation at the next lesson. You probably heard a million times that practice makes perfect, and in math, there is no difference. Look for some exam papers online, borrow them from your sister/brother, older students. Maybe your professor already gave you a practice paper. You can also make your own exam. Include one exercise from every chapter to cover all the material that's going to be on your exam and start solving it. You can't use your notes here, must have an empty desk, just like it will be on the real exam at school. At the end, correct it with a red pen. Where you got the exercise right, do a check mark and count it as 1 point. If you got the wrong answer, cross it out and don't count it as a point. After that, calculate the percents and write down the grade that you would get if that was a real exam. You will know exactly how are you prepared and what you need to revise maybe one more time. Focus more time on studying the chapters where you got at least points. This is the way I study math to get the grades that I want. I really hope you find it helpful as well and maybe gain some extra points on your next exam. But I understand that every person is different and everyone has their own study methods, so here is just an example. of a successful math study method that helped me throughout my high school days, so I had zero problems with the math class also at university. Write down in the comment below how do you study math so we can all help each other. Also make sure you are subscribed to my channel so you won't miss the next video.